Brie, thank you so much for joining me on Balancing Busy podcast today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so excited. So I have had you as a guest expert in my membership. We have known each other for a while, but I am going to let you take a moment and just introduce yourself.
Awesome. So my name is Brie. I am a wife and mom of 3. And I have been in business, online business, for probably about 10 years. But I am a digital marketing, social media marketing coach and expert. And really what I'm passionate about is just helping other moms to see that you can start a business and you can grow a successful business with kids at home, right? It doesn't have to be like one or the other. And my business journey has been just that. It's been a journey. But I absolutely love it. And what I really focus on teaching women is teaching them how to create digital products from their knowledge that they already have. And they don't have to be, I always say, like, you don't have to be an expert at something. You just have to have a little bit of knowledge that helps someone get from point A to point B. So that's kind of like my main stream of expertise, is helping women to kind of like see their gifts, find the things that they're passionate about, and use them to help others create that kind of extra passive income so that they can be home with their babies, help others, and follow their passions. So yeah.
I love it. Okay, so we decided that this conversation is going to be all about the power of pivoting, because you have done some major pivoting from your journey starting 10 years ago. I mean, talk about a totally different, different field. And then you had like a middle one, and now you've landed here, which it's been so beautiful watching you here, because it's so clearly is just such a good fit for you, and it just lights you up, and it's so fun watching that. But it was, as you said, a journey to get there. And I think if all of us are going to go through a journey of really finding our right place, there's some people where they knew exactly what they wanted to be, and that's what they've been forever, and it's their thing, and they knew it. But for a lot of us, we weren't sure, and we had to go through a lot of, is it this? Maybe not. Is it this? So that's scary, and it's hard, and sometimes it can make us feel kind of like we're broken. Like, why can't I figure out what I'm supposed to do? So talk to us first about your experience of pivoting, and then we'll just kind of go deeper from there.
Yep, totally. So like whenever people ask me like, what's your story? Like kind of like just now when I was introducing myself, it's like, okay, like what's the Cliff Notes version of this? Because it's really long. Because I've pivoted so many times, but I just really want women to know that like that's okay. Like I feel like it's kind of ingrained in us even from like elementary school age. Like, what are you going to be when you're up? What do you want to do?
Right, we're
like,
supposed to know. Right, as a little kid, we ask, what are you going to be when you grow up? When you get into high school, we're really like, where are you going to school? Or what are you planning to do? What are you going to major in? We're raised our whole lives to think we're supposed to know exactly what we want to do. And if we don't, there must be something wrong with us.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly how it is. And so I think that a lot of times like we let that hold us back because we're like, oh, I don't have it all figured out right now. So I just won't do anything until I get it figured out. But what I've learned is you have to have some forward motion to figure it out. Like you have to do things in order to learn. I mean, the best way to learn is to just do it. And I know that's easier said than done because it's freaking scary to do something new and try something new. But when you do it, it's so worth it. So when I first started like 10 years ago, I did blogging like for a while. I was really into fashion. So I was like, I'm going to start a fashion blog, like more of a hobby kind of thing. Like just kind of had fun with it. It wasn't like a full-fledged business, but like I had like little sponsorships here and there. And then I was like, okay, I really want to start like a business. And at the time I had a full-time desk job. I had 2 babies. I hadn't had my 3rd yet. So I think my kids are probably like 3 and 1. And I decided I like clothes. I'm going to start an online boutique. Like I was just like, I'm just going to pick something and go for it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before, but like I want to be home with my babies and I want to pursue the things that I love and I want to still like provide financially for my family and help. And I was like, okay, if I can just like help pay for the groceries with this, that would be awesome. Like that was my first goal, which is an awesome goal, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, like I think the thing for me that always keeps me going is I just really see what I want. I like visualize it. I see it every day. I like see myself there and I was like I saw myself home with my babies. I saw myself like having that freedom to be with them and not have to get up in the morning and go to work and so that like that feeling is more important to me than the fear that I'm feeling in the moment, right? Like you have to make your dreams stronger than your fears. So just like do it afraid, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I did that because I like had social media experience from blogging. I was like, okay, I know Instagram. I'm going to go all in on Instagram. And so I scaled that boutique I launched it and I did like $6,000 in sales in my first 40 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing this.
That is
right?
amazing. Yeah,
I was shocked. So I scaled that organically. It was really successful. I ran that for a few years, loved it. And then I started feeling kind of like a tugging on my heart to pivot into coaching and helping other women because I was getting messages from my audience like, how are you doing this? I want to know how to do this. Like how could I start a business from home, or how could I grow my business using social media like you are? So then I decided to start putting out just some simple resources to help women, and I was juggling both. And it was a really, really hard decision, like probably one of the hardest decisions ever when I decided to close down that boutique, because it was like my baby.
Yes.
And it was successful and it didn't really make sense. Like from the outside to anyone else, it was like, but why? But like you're having success, it's growing, people buy from you, like why would you close it down? And I didn't really have an answer for people except that like I just know this is the direction that I ultimately want to go in. This is where I'm feeling pulled. This is where I feel the most passionate. So I took like a huge leap, closed that down, and then like went full-fledged into coaching women to grow their businesses. And my like programs and courses have really like evolved a lot since then. And today my main focus is helping women to develop their own digital products and sell them and market them online, more like low ticket offerings. But also like along with that, you can use a digital product to grow any type of business, really. You can use them strategically to grow a brick and mortar business or service-based business. So like I said, it's a long story, but I was just telling my husband last night that like in those hard moments when like I was making that decision to close down the boutique, like I had like moments of tears, like what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Because like my coaching business didn't just like explode all of a sudden after I did that, right? Like I had to put in the work and stay consistent and trust the systems. But I just had to know that this is where I'm going and just put my faith out there. I always say like the best things in life are on the other side of fear, and we're usually our own worst enemy. So if we can get past ourselves, that's the biggest thing. But I'm so grateful that I have been through the experiences that I've been through, and I'm sure you would say the same. Like all the failures. I mean, failure's not really a thing. Like whatever. Like it's learning. You're learning. If I didn't have all those, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Yes. So I think sometimes we discredit those seasons of learning, of developing, of testing and like seeing like what do I really love? What am I really good at? Those seasons are so valuable for your future self. Like you have to go through those seasons. So.
Oh, it's so true. There is so much available to us if we're willing to learn through our experiences. Even the ones that hurt, that feel like failure, that feel that are defeating. They feel deflating. If we step outside of all of those emotions and we ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? What was good? What do I not want to see happen again? And how do I ensure that I get more of the good and less of what I don't want to see again? Then it's growth. Then it's a good thing.
Yes.
But pivoting, it is really scary. And this idea of having that feeling on your heart, and I think so many can relate to that because it's not quantifiable. It's very difficult to explain to others, but you have this feeling, right?
Yeah.
And you know, so often, how often do we hear someone talk about intuition, talk about trusting your gut? That's what we're talking about when we say I had a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Our intuition is telling us there's something different, there's something bigger, better, or just plain different. That if we are willing to trust ourselves, is waiting on the other side of, I'm going to say, discomfort. Because there is a period of time that is very uncomfortable. Nobody gets to, well, maybe some do. Most of us do not get to pivot straight into success. There is this lead up period where you're getting all the pieces in play, you're trying to kick things off, and you're just hoping beyond hope that it's going to work, but you don't have a guarantee. So, you know, you already touched on this and talked about getting past the fear. How did you do that? Like, what did you utilize to not let fear win when it was time to pivot? Are there parts of your personality? Are there things that you do? How do you get past the fear that's saying, stop, stop, stop?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I've got, like, over time, like, I feel like it's gotten easier, you know, to like now I almost, like, when I sense fear, it's almost like, ooh, like, I don't want to say I like it, but like, it's almost like, oh, like, there's something good on the other side of that. Like I've just learned to lean into my fears instead of run from them. But in that time, I mean, it made a huge difference that, like, my husband is super supportive. That obviously makes a big difference, but that's not always the case. Like, you don't always have the support of your spouse or friends or family or whatever. And there were times where, like, when I was in that in-between stage where my husband was like, okay, I support you, but, like, are you sure about this? Like, are you sure this is what you want to do, you know? But for me, I mean, I'm like a really big vision person. So, and I don't even necessarily have like a vision board. I mean, I have a Pinterest board and I put like all my stuff in there, but I don't like have one plastered on my wall that I look at every day. I know that's really powerful for people and everyone's different. But for me, it's just like recognizing the feeling that, like, my goals give me when I think about them. You know what I mean? Like the emotions that are connected to the things that I want and the goals that I'm going for. So, like, when I was like, I want to not have to get up in the morning and be gone from my kids 8 hours a day, right? Like, what would it feel like to wake up in the morning and just be with them and make breakfast and whatever, but also not feel stressed about like finances and feel at peace because I'm still contributing with my home business, you know, and just like all of the feelings that gave me, that's really what I leaned into a lot. And just whenever the feelings of fear would come and I'd get like the like tightness in my chest or like butterflies in my stomach, you know, I would just try to intentionally switch it and be like, okay, no, this is what I am going for. I'm not going to be led or ruled, for lack of a better word, by my fears, but I'm going to be ruled by the desires and the goals that I have and the places that I'm going. So, and I know, I know that that's like easier said than done. But it really is a practice. Like in our minds and in our heads, like we can be our own worst enemy or we can be our own biggest cheerleader. So it's like just really that it gets easier over time, but it's just thinking about those things has been the biggest for me.
So one of the things that you said, and the reason that I think your visualization has been powerful is that you felt the feelings. And that's such a critical component to powerful visualization is that you're feeling the emotions, the space, the peace, the whatever it is of what it would be like to be in that place. And we have a visualization episode, I think it's episode 9, why you need to start a visualization practice immediately. And I'm such a advocate of the power of visualization. And I don't think it needs to look like everybody else's. We each find what works for us. But the power of visualization is so powerful. And I agree with you. I think it really can help when outside influences or internal influences are really starting to freak out and question if we really do make good choices. So the first step within pivoting is probably trusting our gut, right? Trusting that intuition. We get that feeling. We're like, I think there might be something else. And then I think the next step is really to start feeling what we want, what it could look like. The third step to me is taking some time to actually do some research, brain dump out all the ideas, right? Like get clear on what we're wanting, what it would take, and what it's going to mean in the interim, sacrifice wise, right? If we say, you know what, I want to change to something totally different, I'm closing this business and starting this one, there might be a period of time where we're building up revenue again. So have we done the things to prepare ourselves? We have a savings account that has, several months of income ready and waiting, or whatever that's going to look like. We have something that is going to help ensure that we have the capacity and the space to be able to make these pivots. Did you need to do anything like that when you pivoted, or because of, sometimes it's like, hey, we're dual house income, we can pull back on mine, we're fine. Like, what did that look like for you?
Like financially?
Yeah, like as you're making these transitions and you're going from, or did you kind of do both at the same time until one replaced the other one, and so you're like, okay, now I can let go of that one?
Yeah, so it was interesting because I don't remember if I connected these dots earlier when I was explaining it, but so when I quit my job when I was still running my boutique. So I had income from that and I was home. My husband, obviously, he had a job. So when I decided to stop that, like I was already home. I didn't have a job. So there wasn't really a plan B. Aside from, like you said, like we had a little bit of savings and like we were okay with just him. But it wasn't like ideal, right?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of security, like we're okay. But then, after like a month or two, it's like, okay, like we need to get the ball rolling on this like a little bit more because like we're okay, but like we're not where we used to be. So yeah, but I think what you said is so true. Like you have the vision, you like recognize how it feels and where you want to go, but then you really do have to like sit down and map it out. Like you have to take action to get where you want to go. And like that vision and the goals and the big things that you want and the desires in your heart, like those will fuel your action. Like I use those to fuel my action when it's like, well, I don't really feel like doing this. Well, okay, do I want to stay here or do I want to be there? Like, yeah. I want to be there. So how can I, and this helps me every day. I just say to myself, like, okay, like, what can I do today to get me one step closer? Like, not tomorrow, not even like 5 months from now. Like, what can I do today? Because it's my actions today that really make the difference. I mean, it's good to have like plans and have like your strategy mapped out and stuff, but if you can sit down and create a strategy, and I teach my students how to do this, but then like identify your income producing activities, because we like to fill our schedules and calendars with lots of busy stuff, like editing our website for 2 weeks, like until it looks perfect. But like, is that really income producing? Like for me, it's like, if I post a reel or some piece of content, like that's income producing, because that's going to bring like new people into my world. That's going to help me, you know, sell my products and my programs or whatever. So like, even when it's like, well, I don't feel like doing this. Okay. What's like, you kind of like weigh the scale. Like, okay, do I want that? Or do I want to just not do this? Okay, well, yeah, I want that. So I'm just going to take the 10 minutes it takes to do the thing, right? Like sometimes the thing that we need to do really it's not even that bad. Daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You finally sit down and do it and you're like, huh, that was so much worse in my head. So much worse in my head. No, it's so true. I laugh at when that happens to me, when I've been putting something off, I've been worrying about it, I've been, you know, giving a lot of mental energy to the stress of doing something, and then you sit down and do it and you're like, well, that was much better than I anticipated. And then I always think about, gosh, I spent so much mental energy worrying about it, and how can I do a better job not letting myself go there? Because obviously nothing happens worrying about something. Things only change when we take action. And I would actually take that a step further and say, when it's time to pivot, when we're realizing, okay, I want to do something different and I believe it could be great. It's not action that you want to be obsessed with as much as finishing. Now, obviously, you need a lot of action in order to finish. But I love how you made that comment. We can get so stuck in doing, but not finishing, right? So doing looks like working on your website for 2 weeks and refining it and refining it and refining it, but you don't actually finish the product and get it on the website so that people can click buy now and actually put money into your bank account, right? Like we need to be obsessed with finishing things and not just doing, right? Because we can be busy and not actually feel productive, or we can be productive and productive, you know, if we get to the root of that is producing. It's producing something. It's getting to the end, right? That's being productive, where spending too much time on tinkering or the creativity or the designing and not the actual getting it all the way done, you know, we can lose a lot. Okay, so
true.
Coming back to pivoting, and for the woman listening, and she is like, yes, there is something that's on my heart. Maybe it's to start, maybe it's to pivot. Maybe, you know, she's been in one career or one industry or one anything, and she's feeling this desire to shift. But it's so scary, and she's just been sitting on it, hasn't done anything yet. What do you say to her?
One thing that I always ask myself is, would I, and this sounds kind of cliche, but it's so true and it's so powerful. It's, would I rather, and my husband owns a business too, so we're kind of both entrepreneurs, so we talk like this with each other. But it's like, okay, would I rather like look back 10 years from now and say, I wish I would have like tried that, or I wonder what could have become of that,
Yes.
or I wonder where I would be now if I would have tried that, taken a step, whatever it is, or would I rather look back and be like, I'm so glad that I tried because now I know. Even like if it doesn't work out, like I would rather know that I tried than like wonder what could have been.
I want to take that just one step further and say really tried. Because there is a difference between I kind of tried and if we're being completely honest, we are protecting ourselves by not giving it 100%, because that way we can say, well, it didn't work, but I mean, you know, if I would have done this, it probably could have. But you're still going to live with what if. The idea of what you're saying is that you are going fully in, that you are committing to really giving it a full go, where you don't have to look and say, well, I mean, you know, I didn't do these things, so it could have been different if I had. Like, it's really, really going for it. And that's scary. That's really, it's hard. I mean, it
is scary.
That's the truth of it. But there is no one that any of us are looking at and admiring who didn't embrace scary. That's the bottom line. Like, you have to embrace scary. And instead of looking at it with the mindset of scary is something we avoid, scary is something we stay away from, scary is something we keep at arm's length, we have to realize that our brain is conditioned to keep us where we are because that's safe. And our brain's whole job is to keep us safe. It's supposed to keep us alive and keep us safe, and it wants to do a really good job for us. And so it cannot differentiate between an opportunity, an idea that you have that isn't life-threatening, right? But your brain is like, this is new and scary. Yeah, stay where you are, right? So we have to do the mind work to work through and be like, we're safe, we're good. Thank you for trying to protect me, but we're gonna go for this, because if it doesn't work, here's worst case scenario. And guess what? Worst case scenario is almost never that horrible. I remember once my husband and I, you know, both being entrepreneurs as well, we were talking about all these different things we're doing. And we're like, okay, worst case scenario, what happens? We have no money, we become homeless, we cannot feed our children. And then we said, okay, like, and that is, I mean, like, would that really happen? No. But if we're going worst case scenario, let's just go there. And then we're like, so then what would happen? And we both instantly said, my dad would step in and take care of things. We could go live with my sister. We could go live with your parents. Okay. So our kids wouldn't actually starve. We wouldn't actually be under a bridge or, right? Like, and the truth is just doing that exercise of like, what is the most horrible, terrible, scary thing? Then what would happen? And I mean, do we want that? Gosh, no. Like, no, that is not my idea of, but we could survive that. And so understanding, okay, we could survive that. Then we could look at this thing we were trying to do and say, yeah, you know what? I think the odds are in our favor. I think that, you know, that is never going to happen. But what could happen is wow. And it's worth trying. It's worth going for.
So worth it. Yeah. That's so good. I love that. And I think another thing too is like we have to be okay with things not being perfect. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Like taking the action and know that you're going to learn while you're taking the action, and you're not just going to overnight be perfect at what you're doing or be the expert or whatever, but you learn as you go, and embracing that, like, well, I guess like I said earlier, really embracing those seasons when you're in those seasons of transition, those seasons of pivoting. So I love that. That's so good.
That is so true. I don't know if this is probably the most common thing I end up saying to clients is they're trying to do something new, they're trying to get it going, and they're getting stuck in all the things it could be, right? Like that kind of that perfectionist, like I'm supposed to be an expert. I've got to have it all together. If I'm going to create this, I need a professional videography, camera crew coming in. I need like studio space. I've got to have, right? Like, I mean, they're going all out. And I'm trying to pull this up so that I can show you. And every time I say, okay, look at your iPhone. What update are we on? And I'm checking. We are on 16.5.1. Apple understood that it was going to be an ongoing work in progress, that they were going to continually ideate, continually improve, continually make it better and better. So I think that iPhone came out in 2008, and that was what, 0.0.01 or something? I don't know. I don't know what they named it, but and we're at 16.5.1 at this point.
Yeah.
That is how you need to look at your businesses. This is phase 1. And as soon as phase 1 is out in the world, I can start working on phase 2. And then once phase 2 is out in the world, so sometimes when I'm brain dumping out all of the ideas I have for something, like I have some new concept, something new that I want to design, that I want to create, that I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. I let myself go all kinds of crazy big, right? I'm like, and there will be billboards and skywriting and, who knows? And then I start moving those into, okay, what's phase 1? These are the phase 1 things. And these are the phase 2. And these are the phase 3. I think recognizing that we can keep improving. And that's actually a great thing. I mean, let's just think about this from a marketing perspective. It's actually incredibly powerful to be able to be like, we're launching. And then, 6 months or a year later, you're like, we've revamped everything. And now you get to do basically a whole big old launch again, because now it's the new and improved. And then you do it again. I mean, iPhone knows what they're doing. Well, I should say Apple knows what they're doing, right? Like they keep coming out with the newest version. I think about this often. I guarantee you that they have some of the new features. They already had them well before they actually released them. Right? But they're holding on to them because they know they need to have enough wow on the next edition so that all of us will be like, I need to upgrade, right? Think of your business and your dreams that way. It is perfectly okay to say, okay, this is phase 1. And I'm already thinking about what phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 17 and 20 and 50 are going to have. But for right now, I'm just focused on phase 1. And because I'm focused on productivity, meaning producing, meaning finishing, I'm going to get phase 1 out, and then I can shift into those next phases.
Yep. Oh, that's so good. I love that analogy. That's so good. It's so true, though. Like, I mean, I think sometimes we forget in business, especially like in the like social media based business world, that like we're all people and our customers are people, and our audience, they're people, and people love to be a part of something. They love a good journey. Like they love a good, like, what's the word? Like a good happy ending, right? But they like to like be in the nitty gritty parts too. And like that's why people love reality TV, right? Like people
we want to see all of it. We want to see and be a part of the process and feel like we're a part of it, not just a spectator.
Right. Yeah. So you can embrace that as you're growing your business. Just embrace like your imperfections and that you're learning, and people will relate to that, because newsflash, no one's perfect. And I guarantee you there's no one at home. And if they are, then whatever. But there's not people sitting at home being as tough on you as you are on yourself. Like, well, you aren't doing this right, and this, like this here and this right here. And no, people aren't doing that.
So good. Oh, Brie, thank you so much for being with me today and having this conversation about pivoting and just embracing our flaws and our, being works in progress, I feel like, right? Like just embracing all of that. Will you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes. So you can find me. The main place I hang out is on Instagram. So my username is @Brie Groves, BrieGroves. That's really like my main hub of where I am. Also, briegroves.com is my website. But yeah, head over there, shoot me a DM, say hi, tell me you listen to this. I'd love to chat with you.
Perfect. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, and we will chat with you again soon.